The moment Catherine's mother pointed her finger at my face in front of 37 people, I made a decision that would change everything. I just didn't act on it yet. That is the part nobody understands. They see the suitcase, the airport, the one-way ticket, and they imagine a man losing control. But I did not shout, I did not slam a door. I smiled at Evelyn Whitmore while my wife stood beside her sister. And somewhere behind that smile, 11 years of patience finally died. My name is Joseph Taylor. I had been married to Catherine for 11 years. In her family, I was the quiet husband, the reliable driver, the free handyman, the man who fixed Richard's basement, carried chairs, drove Zoe to the airport at 2 in the morning, and showed up to every summer reunion without complaint. 14 reunions, I counted by the 10th. I should have been billing them. Before I go further, subscribe to Reveng Act Tax Stories. Because stories like this take real work to tell honestly. Thank you for being here. And tell me where you are watching from, because maybe you know this kind of silence. That last reunion was at Catherine's parents' lake house in rural Tennessee. Catherine had been excited for weeks. She said everyone was asking about me. I knew what that meant. In the Whitmore family, asking about me was like asking if an old chair was still in storage. Not affection, inventory. Still, the drive was sweet. Her hand rested on my knee. The radio played low. For one foolish stretch of road, I thought maybe we were still okay. Then we arrived. Zoe ran from the dock first, shouting our names. She was Catherine's youngest sister, 24, bright tipsy, and the only one who treated me like I belonged. Evelyn wore her sharp little smile. Richard was silent and superior. Amber looked polished and carried cruelty like perfume. Hayes watched awkwardly. Bennett and Sydney hovered nearby. Dylan, the unemployed cousin, leaned by the grill like royalty. I shook hands. I hugged shoulders. I made small talk. I was good at pretending. Saturday morning was the first warning. Breakfast was on the back porch. Evelyn walked around with coffee, filling everyone's cup. Then she passed me. My cup stayed empty, no apology, no pause. Just air. Hayes noticed. Sydney noticed. Zoe definitely noticed. Catherine didn't, or she chose not to, so I stood, poured my own coffee, and came back smiling. That was my role, making disrespect convenient. Later, Richard mentioned a drainage problem near the dock. I had fixed bigger issues for him before, so I offered to take a look. He ignored me and asked Hayes. Hayes barely knew how to hold a wrench. I nodded and let it pass. Something inside me became very quiet. Saturday dinner looked beautiful from far away. Fairy lights, dark lake, Catherine laughing with her family. I still loved seeing her happy, which is why I had swallowed so much for so long. Zoe sat beside me like a guard. "You okay?" she whispered. "Perfect," I said. She knew I was lying. Then Dylan decided to entertain the table. "So Joseph," he said loudly, "Catherine says your little business is doing well." That word, little, landed exactly where he meant it to. I had built a commercial property management company from nothing. 12 employees, dozens of properties. Everyone at that table knew what I did. Dylan tilted his head. "What is it again? Landscaping?" Amber laughed first, not loud, just enough to give everyone permission. I corrected him calmly. He smirked. "Right. Lawns, buildings, same idea." A few people stared at their plates. Zoe stiffened beside me. Catherine kept cutting her chicken. That was the real insult. Not Dylan, not Amber. My wife heard it and chose the chicken. In that moment, I understood something I had been avoiding for years. Catherine was not stuck between me and her family. She had already chosen a side. She was only too comfortable to say it out loud. Sunday made her say it without words. After lunch, Amber pulled me aside near the storage shed. She said she wanted to be honest, which is always dangerous coming from someone who has been quietly insulting you for a decade. According to Amber, Catherine was unhappy. I worked too much, I didn't fit in. I made Evelyn uncomfortable, their family. Not ours. When she finished, I said my marriage was between Catherine and me. Amber smiled. Not when it affects us. That one word told me everything. The Whitmores, the real unit. I found Catherine by the lake. Amber cornered me. I said, "I know." I stared at her. She knew. She allowed it. And when I asked why she hadn't stopped it, she said Amber wasn't entirely wrong. She said I worked too much, did not try hard enough, and her mother felt disrespected by me. "Your mother skipped my coffee cup at breakfast," I said. "She forgot." "No, Catherine, she didn't." For the first time that weekend, she looked at me fully, and there was distance in her eyes. "Maybe if you tried harder," she said. I almost laughed. Trying harder had been the story of my entire marriage. An hour later, I walked onto the porch and found them gathered in a loose circle, the way families gather when they have already discussed you and now want you to stand trial. Evelyn stepped forward. "Joseph, we need to clear the air." I looked for Catherine. She was beside Amber. That image did more damage than Evelyn's words ever could. Evelyn talked about respect, family, my cold attitude, and how they had tried to include me. Richard nodded. Amber added details. Dylan ate through the whole thing like it was entertainment. I listened because I wanted to know how far Catherine would let them go. Then Evelyn pointed at my face and gave me two choices. Apologize sincerely to the family, or leave. The porch went silent. I looked at Catherine one last time. She looked at the floor. If you've ever waited for one person to defend you and watched them choose silence instead, subscribe, because some wounds are invisible until the day they change your whole life. I took one breath, then I smiled. "Thank you, Evelyn," I said. "That clears up more than you know." I walked into the guest room and shut the door. My hands did not shake. I opened my airline app, Nashville to Chicago. Evening flight, one seat, one way. I bought it. Not for drama, but because someone had finally given me permission to stop pretending. I packed like a man leaving a burning house nobody wanted saved from. Zoe appeared in the doorway. "Joseph, what are you doing? Leaving. Please don't make it like this." I didn't make it like this. Her eyes filled because she knew it was true. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I should have said something." "Yes," I said gently. "You should have." It hurt her, but I was done making honesty soft enough for other people to handle. When I walked back outside with my suitcase, everyone went quiet. Evelyn blinked like she had not expected consequences to have wheels. "Where are you going?" "To the airport." Catherine's face went pale. That was the first real emotion I had seen from her all day, only when I stopped cooperating. Amber looked offended, as if my leaving was rude after her mother had invited it. I looked at Catherine once. I said her name like a door closing. Then I walked to my car. I did not look in the rearview mirror. I already knew no one was running after me. The drive to Nashville was quiet. My phone started buzzing before I hit the highway. Catherine, Amber, Evelyn. Catherine again. At a red light, I read Catherine's texts. "Where are you going? Call me. This is not okay." Then, after a pause, one word, "Please." I stared at it. It did not sound like regret. It sounded like inconvenience. I put the phone face down and kept driving. At the airport, I parked in long-term parking because short-term felt dishonest. At the gate, the silence felt like oxygen. When the plane lifted off, I did not feel victory. I felt free enough to breathe. I landed in Chicago after dark and went straight to my office, where I kept a small suite for late nights. I sat in the dark for a while, then I called my attorney. She had handled business structure work for me before. Smart, direct, and difficult to scare. "Joseph," she said, "it's Sunday night. I know." A pause. "How bad? I need to know what happens if I leave the marriage." Another pause. Then I heard her chair move. "Start from the beginning," so I did. What Catherine and her family never knew was that for 18 months, I had been paying attention, not spying, not plotting, just noticing. My company became ours when it made money and yours when it took my time. Her family treated my work like a hobby until they wanted access. After one ugly argument about money, I had restructured my company legally and cleanly. Everything was documented and protected, not because I planned to leave, because men who build things learn to read weather. And the storm had been coming for years. By Monday, my attorney had a plan. By Tuesday, filings were moving. By Thursday, Catherine was served at her mother's lake house. That detail told me everything. She had not gone home. She had stayed there, probably waiting for me to return, apologize, and prove her family right. My phone rang 11 times. I let every call go to voicemail. Then I sent Catherine one message. "You stood on the wrong side of the room. I won't argue with what I saw." She called instantly. This time I answered. "What did you do?" she asked. "What needed doing?" "You filed over one argument." "No," I said. "I filed over 11 years of being alone while married." She cried then, but I heard Evelyn in the background, and Catherine's voice changed the way it always did when her family became the audience. "We can fix this," she said. "No, Catherine, we can't. You can't just walk away." I already did. For once, I ended the call first. People expect guilt after a choice like that. I expected it too. I thought I would lie awake replaying her voice and wondering if I had gone too far. Instead, I slept better than I had in years. The divorce was not simple, but it was clear. Catherine expected delay, counseling, maybe a slow return to the same life with prettier language. But that man had left Tennessee without looking back. Her attorney pushed for part of my company. But records matter. Dates matter. Legal structures matter. After years of treating my work like mowing lawns, they discovered my paperwork had teeth. 7 months later, the settlement was finished. I walked out with my company intact. Catherine walked out with the memories she had chosen over me. I do not say that to be cruel. I say it because choices have addresses. If this part of the story feels familiar, subscribe, not because revenge is always loud, but because sometimes the strongest ending is refusing to return to the room where they broke you. Life after Catherine was not dramatic. That was the beautiful part. No family dinners where I swallowed insults with dessert. No waiting for my wife to defend me and feeling foolish for hoping. No pretending a room was warm just because everyone called it family. I worked, I expanded, I promoted 2 employees, hired a director of operations, and finally took weekends without my phone acting like a leash. 14 months after the reunion, my company had grown again. 6 new properties, better contracts, better margins, a cleaner life. I bought a condo downtown with tall windows and morning light. The first time I drank coffee there, I realized no one had skipped my cup. No one had to pour it for me. No one had to see me. I was there. That was enough. Zoe stayed in touch carefully. Through her, I heard Evelyn was telling people I was unraveling. Amber said I was trying to prove something. Dylan, naturally, had opinions that required no employment history. Catherine watched my business updates online like personal insults. I did not correct the rumors. People like Evelyn need the person who leaves to be broken. Otherwise, they have to ask why he left smiling. 18 months after the reunion, the final circle closed. I was in Nashville for a property development conference. At a rooftop reception, I saw Hayes near the bar. For a second, we were both back on that porch. He looked older, tired, guilty. Joseph, he said. Hayes, he told me I looked well. I am, I said. Then he admitted he had never agreed with what happened that weekend. I watched him struggle through the words. Maybe he meant it, but courage after the cost is gone is a very small thing. You were there, I said. I know. You said nothing. His eyes dropped. I know that too. The old Joseph would have rescued him, smiled, shaken his hand, and let him leave feeling forgiven. But I was no longer making other people comfortable with their cowardice. I appreciate you saying it, I told him. But silence during the damage and regret after the damage are not the same thing. Then I walked away. No raised voice, no scene. Just a man leaving another room where he no longer belonged. That is what they never understood. The revenge was not the ticket, the divorce papers, the business they failed to touch, or the condo with sunlight in the morning. The revenge was waking up every day and no longer volunteering to be invisible. Evelyn had offered me 2 choices in front of 37 people, apologize or leave. I found the third, not leaving, staying gone. 14 reunions, 14 summers, 11 years of pouring my own coffee, laughing at insults, helping people who never respected my hands until something in their house broke. They spent years teaching me that I did not matter in their room. So I built a life where their room did not matter to me. And on some mornings, when Chicago is still gray and quiet, I sit by my window with my coffee and think about that porch in Tennessee. I think about Catherine looking at the floor. I think about Evelyn pointing her finger. I think about the suitcase, the app, the one-way ticket. And I do not feel anger anymore. Anger would mean I am still standing there, waiting for someone to choose me. I am not waiting. I chose myself. That was the decision that changed everything. I just acted on it one flight later.